Ethereum's $2,000, and there's just no real way that not just PulseChain, but a lot of these altcoins, different altcoin blockchains, whatever it is, are going to have a lot of firepower behind them as long as we're not risk on, So we're still waiting on it. I didn't think we'd be doing it on March 26th of 2025, but we are. I guess we can look at Bitcoin and Ethereum. I wasn't even prepared to do so because I haven't been thinking about them at all. And I wonder if anybody within this ecosystem has even been, I have not been following any of the greater crypto space. I mean, I have no idea what kind of stuff's going on. I think BitBoy's in jail now or something, which...
You hear that today? Yep.
Yeah.
For emailing a judge or something. I read a very brief headline. I don't know what it was actually for, but yeah, I heard he ended up in jail.
No. So is the next chapter. We got Bitcoin at just under 87K right now. I mean, as far as I can remember, it's been consolidating in this range for a while and really fine. I mean, like bullish, hanging out where it is right now. We never saw it go back into those low 70 numbers, which I think we probably had allowance to continue on the same, trend as far as this bull cycle with Bitcoin even getting down into that 72K region. We never really saw that. We saw about mid 70s and it's been hanging out here for a bit. ETH, it's so weird because it's I'm sorry, we'll finish off with Bitcoin. I didn't mean to. You can I'm sorry, we'll stay on there for a minute. But just as far as Bitcoin, I mean, what do you think about where we're at right now? Because this is kind of mirroring, it's still mirroring things that we've seen before. Again, as much like uncertainty and all these things that have been happening in PulseChain, looking at Bitcoin, things are exactly, I think, where they need to be. And I think we're still looking pretty bullish.
Yeah, Bitcoin's looking fine. I don't remember when I drew this trend line on here. It's been probably several weeks. It was probably back in here when we were way over it. But it's holding that respect. It's respecting that trend line, the long term, ever since November of 2023, this upswing. So as long as it doesn't break too far below it or considerably below it, I think it's on the right path. And it sure is like just grazing that trend line. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I know there's still a bunch of people buying it, and a lot of people I think they're waiting for the money printing to begin wave before they jump back in. I know there were some people taking profits up in the $100,000 range, waiting for a dip, and we'll see if they're the ones buying back in now. I would imagine they are slowly, but yeah, it looks fine. I don't see anything too concerning. There's nothing alarming. It doesn't look like it's dropped below any kind of technical support as far as this line goes. So
yeah,
looking fine.
Yeah, I think it is hanging out right where we want to be. And then Ethereum right at 2K. It's been interesting because it's come up over 2K. It actually touched 2,100 the other day. A real big move for ETH. But yeah, so that's the thing, is will it turn 2,000 into, a new floor instead of it being resistance again? Because it went the whole way down into the 1,700s over the last couple of weeks. Just, frankly, abhorrent. I mean, what its performance this cycle so far. Yeah. That's not a news story, but yeah, what do you think here with ETH? Because, it basically seems like everybody's written it off, totally forgotten about it at this point. I mean, that's kind of isn't that really the true like death of something, is irrelevance, not necessarily like everybody hating it is practically loving it. So
yeah,
that to get to where we may get to with PulseChain here in a minute about everybody hating it, why that can be bullish. But with ETH, it's just kind of like nobody gives a shit, including Vitalik. And I don't know. I've been saying for a while now, I'm starting to think that it's too late in the game for it to really make up and have a good ratio versus BTC this cycle. That I don't mean that I don't think it can get to a dollar value that can still help out a lot of people. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm just, man, I mean, how late do we get in the cycle to where that ratio is just not going to get to a place where it's gotten to in the past? That's just what I'm thinking.
You mean because they run together usually? I think that's what you're probably referring to. When one takes off, the other one does too. And it's going to be so much harder for Ethereum at this point to outpace it, I think is what you're saying. And I kind of agree with that. I don't know what kind of numbers we'll see on the ratio. And it's in what looks to be a very weird kind of critical spot, With Bitcoin, we've been going up only a couple dips, but we're way above where people thought we should be, right? This is more of an uptrend and a down. It's still up. And when you look at Ethereum, well, it's kind of the opposite, because it's just down. And
Right. Yeah.
I think we're at a really critical spot for it. I think like 1900 is probably one of those levels where we really have to be careful and watch. If it breaks below 1900, it could be a free fall down to, like, this bottom was 17 something. So
Right.
if it doesn't at least hold that, now you look at it on the other hand and be like, well, this looks like a pretty good uptrend. It's only what, nine, it's 15 days old. So it's not really quite enough to go on yet, but the uptrend that we're seeing here looks good. However, we're still at a very critical level. So, I mean, kind of, you take it one way or another. When you look at the ratio, yeah, I mean, we're still at 0.022. So
Bad.
very low, damn near bottom. 0.021 was the bottom here. So it hasn't gained much ground, to your point, that we really want to see. And like I said, when they run, they usually run together. I don't know how much it can outpace it. The other point to that, though, is it can double, right? ETH can easily double, get to 4,000. Wouldn't take a whole lot of energy. For Bitcoin to double, it's going to take a ton to get to 160,000, 172,000 at this point. So I don't know how that works as the ratio plays out. If the dollar value really, how well that's calculated in, I'm sure it is. And if this doubles before Bitcoin doubles, does it make a huge kind of leap in the ratio? I would imagine it would. So, again, I think these are some really critical levels for Ethereum. And that 1900 is probably our key, and then we're only 100 above it. So hope and pray that it stays there and just keeps on this nice little uptrend it's created. A couple pullbacks aren't a bad thing, but as long as it continues, should be okay.
Yeah, and just what you said, $4,000 ETH, that's music to everybody's ears at this point. I mean, that would be a panacea, like, for the masses at this point. I would be pinching myself. Crypto 7, Arthur Hayes is predicting 5K ETH before $300 Solana. I mean, I think that's probably likely too, and I think it might be saying more about Solana than it is Ethereum, honestly. But yeah, I'm with you there. And Arthur Hayes, he's an interesting guy. He kind of goes back and forth on stuff, but yeah, I definitely could see that too. So interesting stuff. And yeah, we'll see if Solana season comes back. I'm not so sure how it's going to at this point, but